The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Moncur, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
The role of a woman in the society is to submit. Birth control are the pills of the devil. Education is so fundamental to the development of a people. Hang murderers. Simple as that. What am I voting for? Voting will change nothing.
Tout le monde haïtien, como ye. God save the Queen.
Broadcasting live from ILTV here in Nassau, Bahamas. Welcome to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Moncur. I'm a Justice of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And of course, I am a member of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. I ask the Lord to guide me today because it would appear that since May 10th, 2017, I've become so angry and mad and vexed over some of the things that are taking place in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Well, you can join Freedom March, in which you can go to our Facebook page, iltv.com, and I'm sharing it also on my page, Rodney Moncur. Today, I'm returning to yesterday's event. I want to show you one of the greatest political sins that the leader of the government, the leader of the FNM, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas committed, Dr. Hubert A. Minnis. And it's important that I return to these points so that I can emphasize the importance of monitoring him and showing you what he did at the most important ceremony at the opening of yesterday's Parliament, the reading of the speech from the throne. I have now in my possession the exact copy of the speech from the throne which he gave to Dame Margaret. And I'm going to ask you what you think about it, because as I've told you, he gave to the wrong one. He lost it. And it's on my mind. It was terribly disrespectful. It is that these Negro people do not understand the convention. He lost it. All right? And that's important. I have to emphasize it so that he can do better. So I want you to relax and, enjoy yourself as I take you once again to the Parliament of the Bahamas. You can join me today on our main line, and the number is 323-7775, 323-7775, and our toll-free is 242-300-0045, 242-300-0045. And of course, we have our WhatsApp number, 242-477-1333, 242-477-1333. So, there is a white Bahamian who has been victimized from the FNM first came to power. Now that the FNM is in power, I'm going to bring the white man on and question him. Are you a citizen of the Bahamas? Because if you are a citizen of the Bahamas, I don't care what your color is. It is the people's time. And no citizen is going to be victimized in this country as long as I have breath. This is Freedom March. My name is Rodney Moncur, and when I come back, it's hell.
Freedom March with Rodney Moncur will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Moncur.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live here in Nassau, Bahamas. And of course, you can join me on Facebook Live. That's ILTV Studios Facebook page. And I'm sharing it on my Facebook page, Rodney Moncur. Now, you know, Cable Bahamas is so unreliable, but if they are working, you should be able to see me on channel 224, and we are streaming, and we are also being broadcast on BTC Flow TV 112. Our show is broadcast Monday through Fridays, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and there is a rebroadcast every morning between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And our main telephone line is 323-7775. 323-7775. And our toll-free number is 242-300-0045. 242-300-0045 is our toll-free number. And our text and WhatsApp number is 357-7469. 357-7469. So once again, I welcome everybody who is joining me here on ILTV. Let me start off the show by trying to make peace with some of the saints in the Free National Movement, because there are many persons in the FNM whom I have accused of not being saved, not being sanctified, not being full with the Holy Ghost. And some of them has been very upset over the fact that they claim that I'm judging their spirituality, their Christianity. And I'm trying to be a pacemaker. And I continue to remind them that it is by their fruits that men will know them. So, in the spirit of peace and reconciliation, I would like to extend a happy birthday to Bishop Gregory Taylor. Goodness of mercy, Bishop Gregory Minnis, not Taylor. Bishop Gregory Minnis. I'm extending a happy birthday to Bishop Gregory Minnis. He is the chaplain in the Free National Movement. And guess what? He's finally reached my age. I'm 60, and today, the 25th of May, he turned 60. Bishop, I salute you at 60, and may you put on the cap of wisdom at 60, and may you speak to the FNM as a bishop in the church and say to the FNM, let's put aside witch hunting. Let's put aside victimization. Let us treat all the people fairly, red and yellow, black and white, for they are all precious in Jesus' sight. So I had to extend that warm greeting to Bishop Gregory Minnis. Sometimes he has forgotten who I am. Bishop, I'm the same Negro man that you join in numerous marches against crime and to call for the hanging of murderers. I have not changed. You thought I was a good man then? Well, listen, my character has not changed. I just want a good government, a government that is going to be transparent and accountable. That's all I ask for. So, Bishop, let me salute you. Happy birthday to one of the most saved men in the Free National Movement, Bishop Gregory Minnis. Well, having done that, I am troubled over yesterday's event. For many citizens, they may not understand the importance of the opening of the parliament after a general election. And they may not understand and appreciate how important it is when a prime minister prepares his agenda and presented it to the Governor General. It's so important because it gives us an idea of what we can expect, particularly after an election. It's very important. And I want you to note that there is a light-skinned Negro woman by the name of Miss Candia Dames and the Nassau Guardian. Candia, if you were to examine the Nassau Guardian, and I got a number of scholars to help me to examine the Nassau Guardian, and let me tell you, I am now convinced that Candia Dames is not safe and that she's now being influenced by her big brother, the Minister of National Security, Marvin Dames, and her nephew, the Member of Parliament for St. Barnabas, yes, Shannon Dawn Cartwright. Throughout this whole paper, that Candia, this is the Nassau Guardian, you know, she refused to reveal that Minnis did not give Her Excellency the Governor General the true copy, the ceremonial copy of the speech from the throne. Can they hide it? And I even checked the spot page, and it ain't there. After that, I grabbed the Tribune. Here's the Tribune. And I read the Tribune. And the Tribune, them hide this. It ain't in the Tribune. So I'm convinced that the people in the Tribune, who I thought was safe, they ain't safe. They're not safe. They hid it. Well, I don't expect anything better out of Wendell Jones. Because, you know, Wendell them has made plenty mistake in the Bahama Journal. And I came across a mistake. And after I found that mistake, I decided, too much mistake, I'll put it down. And tonight, when I get to my office, I'll look through it. But they are hiding this important information. But God is good. I have been able to put my hands on two important documents. One, the manifesto of the FNM. And two, the speech from the throne. So that you can see what kind of FNM we are dealing with. These people are incompetent, all right? Here is, and I hope the producers in here, I hope you all know FNM in the back there. You know FNM in the back there? Lord have mercy. One man give me a 2 finger. He might be an FNM. I don't care what your list, but show this. Here is the FNM manifesto. Okay? So we know that the FNM ain't had no ideas. They waged a whole campaign. No ideas. All right? 1 or 2 things Minnis say. Minnis talk about how he's going to get rid of what on bread basket items. Now, he's backpedaling. All right? This is a doctor who knows that in the country, the people them are suffering from sugar, pressure, and all kinds of chronic diseases, which we suspect is as a result of poor dietary habits. And Dr. Minnis claims that if the inner city were to support him, he's going to take what of all the food them, and he's going to reduce the prices on the good kind of food so that we would have better health and so that we will live longer. But by grab, special interest has already stepped in. And if you saw the Nassau Guardian, Sir William Allen a former Minister of Finance. He's now telling ministers and them, watch their spending habits. He's alerting them, don't bother with the VAT. So you see what has happened. They fool you, the Negroes. So minister wasn't serious, all right? Because this was a man who had abandoned Bain Town for years and lived up on one high hill out west. So here we are. I need the VAT to be removed of not only bread basket items, but all the foods them, so that we can have a more healthier life. Here is a copy of the speech from the throne that Menace gave to a governor general who's over 80. And suppose God was not with her. Suppose God, I who's 60, hardly could see these fonts. And I 60, and the governor general is old enough to be my auntie. But God was with her. And do you know, when she received this, she taught out aloud. The mics were on. And she said, what's this? Or what is this? But she is trained. She's the wife of a former prime minister. And she was educated by one of the greatest Negro educators in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You see the things I know? Who educated Dame Margaret? Well, it was who? She was the first woman to become the Minister of Transport in a PLP government. What is her name? Dame Doris Johnson. The late Dame Doris Johnson. She gave Dame Margaret private education. And she taught her. And by grab, notwithstanding Menace's incompetency, by not giving her the correct ceremonial copy of the speech from the throne, I am convinced that God was with the Governor General, who has made us all proud that F&Ms are now saying we have to find a way to change those who are conspiring to move her off Government Hill. I told that to you all a couple of months ago. I told you all. But we are proud of Dame Margaret. She's royal. Can you imagine? Menace is a prime minister who says he is ready on day one. And what was yesterday's date? 2 weeks after being sworn in as prime minister, he could not find the ceremonial copy of the speech from the throne. And I'll give you a story about Hubert Alexander I as Papa. Papa would not have committed that mistake. I hate, Papa, forgive me. Forgive me that I can have to say some secrets to prove my case. But I'll hide a piece of it. Papa was having a particular state document prepared. And since Papa knows that among these Negroes there are a lot of incompetence, guess what he did as prime minister? He drove to the place and he stood up over the professional as he ensured that they designed the book properly, that it was properly proofread. And he went to one of the most sophisticated printing company. But Papa, no, these are a lot of incompetent people. And that is what he did, stood right there, and he watched it. And when it came to the speech from the throne, Papa always made sure that the speech from the throne was only a hand away from him. But Menace leave it in the Churchill building. They can remember. Now they want to lie on civil servants. And the Westminster system of government dictates and demands that the prime minister be accountable. And here is a prime minister who is supposed to ensure that our blessed Governor General is never embarrassed, because Menace is Dame Margaret Pinlings first minister. And that is what he's done. But thank God, Dame Margaret is the mother of the nation. And many mothers knows that there are a lot of incompetent sons. They know. And I'm annoyed. Can you imagine? This is not the ceremonial copy. The fonts on this might be about 16. All right? But that's what Menace done. And if he can't get a simple thing like this right, heaven help us. Oh, man. And that is why I categorize him as a King George III Negro. King George III, 1760 to 1820. When I come back, I'm going to leave a little bit of the politics and trot along some historical road. I'm going to bring a man. So I look at the man looked white to me. Got curly hair, white, and he has suffered an injustice. And he's appealed to the justice of the peace for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And his word is justice. I'm a citizen. I've not been treated fairly. And it started under the F&M. And he ain't political. He's a decent Christian man. And today, I shall put question to him. And the first question I'm going to ask him is, are you a citizen? Because he is a citizen. And I don't care what color the citizen is. He is to be treated fairly. And I'm flattered. And I call on all people, if you have suffered any injustice, you come to me. Come to me. I'm the justice of the peace, first appointed by Hubert Ingram. And then when decent Loretta Butler appointed me to the Senate, I became a justice of the peace for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so when I come back from the break, I shall invite an elderly white Bahamian to tell you how he has suffered an indignity. And I call on the F&M to correct it. Correct it. I call on the F&M to do justice to all manner of citizen according to the law. There is a man in my studio who has suffered an indignity. Is he a Bahamian? My God. Is he a Bahamian? Is he a Bahamian? Let's put Bahamian first. It's the people's time. White people, black people, red people, yellow people, all people.
Freedom March with Rodney Moncur will be right back after this. Thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Moncur, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV. And of course, we are streaming live on ILTV.com. I'm sharing it on my page, Rodney Moncur. Every citizen by now must be aware that I am one of Her Majesty's Justices of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the world knows that in my capacity as a Justice of the Peace, I am prepared to entertain the petition of any citizen. And I do not discriminate whether or not you were born in the Bahamas or not. If you come to me and you put your case, and your case is right and just, I shall stand with you, and I shall demand from the power that be that justice must flow like a mighty river. I have with me a citizen of the Bahamas, and we're going to look at his problem. And I'll start off by saying, sir, welcome to Freedom March. Tell the listening audience, what is your name?
My name is Evangelist G. Zervis.
Evangelist
G. Zervis.
And that's his first name. Okay? That's his name. And how old are you, sir?
74.
And please tell the people them, where do you live?
I live on Virginia Street.
And what is the name of the constituency that you live in?
Bain and Grantstown.
Who is your MP?
Travis Robinson.
Travis Robinson is your MP. Very well. Having established, you said to me that you are a citizen of the Bahamas. What is your profession?
I'm an architect.
You are an architect. And based on court documents, I see that in 1995, you filed a petition in the Supreme Court. And it was against the Professional Architect Committee, and it was under the Professional Architect Act, and you took a number of people to court, including the then Attorney General, the Ministry of Works, or the Minister of Works, and the Architect Board. Why did you take them to court? Well, let me help you out. Here is the act that was passed on the 16th of September 1994. Am I correct?
Right.
In which you, under the act, was required to be what we call, you were required to have your license issued under the grandfather clause.
That's correct.
Did you make an application for it?
Yes, I did.
And what happened when you did that?
I received a notice or a letter through the post office saying that they would accept me as a technician, or they will put my name on the technician's list. I never applied for that. I applied under the grandfather clause, which makes you a full architect, provided you had no less than 20 years of practical experience, which I had 25 years at that time.
At the date that you made the application,
Yeah.
you were practicing for 25 years.
Right. I started in 1970.
Okay?
Right.
Now, members of the public, I'm looking at a piece of legislation that was passed into law 2 years after the Free National Movement came to power. And this was published by authority on the 16th of September 1994. Mr. Zervis, who lives in Bain and Grantstown, he made an application under Section 9, subsection 1 of the Act. All right? And I'm going to read that section to you. And it goes like this. An individual is entitled to be registered as an architect if, upon his written application to the board for such registration, he satisfies the board that A, he is qualified to be registered as an architect, and B, he is a fit and proper individual to practice as an architect. But you say they refuse you.
They refused me, yes.
And you subsequently took them to court.
I did.
You wouldn't remember in 1994 who might have been the F&M Attorney General. You're not sure?
I'm not quite sure, but I believe it was Brent Simonet.
You believe it was Brent?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you heard what he said. He applied. When they refused him, he took out an action in the Supreme Court. And I'm going to show you how lawless governments can be. He goes to the Supreme Court. and he gets an order of the Supreme Court. Remember now, the FNM claims that it believes in the rule of law. And I have the order. And I'm going to read the order to you. It was before His Lordship, the Honorable Sir William Kearney, acting justice. And the order, in effect, quash the decision of the Architect Board. And they were told to reconsider him in accordance with the law. And by grab, if it was Brent Simonet, who was the Attorney General, he did not ensure, one, that the Architect Board meet, and they never complied with this order of the court, subjecting Mr. Zervis to this kind of professional indignity. And I suspect, and I can say it, I suspect that they didn't follow the law because of politics, even though this man has never publicly declared which political party he supports. And the order exists today. Meanwhile, am I correct?
You're right.
Are there any board in existence as far as you are aware?
No, there's no legal board.
There's no legal board?
No.
And therefore, from 1999, let's look at the order, because I want the Negro people to see that they are poor white Bahamians. Are you a Bahamian?
Yes, I am.
When were you born?
I was born in 1942
Where?
in Nassau, Bahamas.
You are Bahamian?
Yes.
Hold up your flag. Show them your flag.
Yeah, that's
it's a Bahamian.
I'm Bahamian, yeah.
So there are poor white Bahamians who are subjected to indignity. And it ain't right. He's a Bahamian. He's not responsible for the color of his skin or the color of his eyes. He's not responsible. He had nothing to do with it. He's a citizen. And the law should prevail. You hear me? I'm going to show you something. Papa, forgive me. I'm not going to identify the Negro male unless Papa pushed my back. I know everything that goes on in the country. There was a Negro male who was in a similar situation like him. And Papa, and by Papa, I mean the then Prime Minister, Hubert Alexander Ingram, he sent for the board and he told the board, give the Negro man his license. And the board complied. They were under an identical situation. All right? Now, I'm not prepared to say that Papa was aware of him. Because Papa, I believe, would not have discriminated. But I have to look at the record. How then, in the face of a court order, this man from 1999, 18 years now, the FNM did not comply. And in frustration, did you approach the PLP government? Have you ever approached them?
I spoke with Bradley Roberts.
You spoke to Bradley Roberts?
Yes, I did.
Will you tell me what happened?
At one point, I told him my problem, and he said he became the Minister of Works, and at that point in time, they had stopped me from working. And he called me one evening on May, I think it was May the 30th. It was a Friday, 30th or 31st of 2002, when he was Minister of Works. And he said, you can go back to work. And I did go back to work.
Well, in support of Bradley Roberts being impartial, I have in my possession a confidential document signed by Mrs. Bernard, what's her name? Anita Bernard, who is related to Dame Joan Sawyer. I have it. God is good. I have it. And I'm prepared to read the confidential document to show you the kind of corruption that takes place and to show my people, the Negro people, that they are poor white Bahamians who are also being suffered and victimized. Bradley said, go back to work, which was powerful. And he did go back to work. And I have in my possession the minute paper, number MOW&T, Minister, she wrote. Reference, Evangelist G. Zervis voices the board members of the Professional Architect Board. Listen to what Anita Bernard wrote. She's a saved woman. And she's now writing to the minister on the 31st of May, 2002. Who was the minister? Bradley Roberts. And this is what she says. The Supreme Court judgment in the reference case was that the board's decision to reject Mr. Zervis's application was flawed in that there was no requirement for the applicant to have received, quote, training in an architect's office, end quote. Accordingly, the order was given to have the decision granted and the board be directed to consider the appellant's application in accordance with the law. The next step, in this case, should be the board's reconsideration and approval of the application, since the only reason used by the board to invalidate the application was determined to be a non-issue by the Supreme Court. This I will have Director of Public Works follow up with the professional architect boards. In the meantime, this is what Anita Bernard wrote to the minister, Bradley Roberts. In the meantime, I am informed by the Director of Works that the Ministry of Works and Urban, I believe that's what you mean, continue to accept Mr. Zervis's plans for processing while the matter was in court. This position continues unchanged. It just now remains for the Professional Architect Board to reverse their decision. Submitted for your consideration. Anita Bernard, Permanent Secretary, and it is sent to a number of people. So, it is regrettable that Bradley Roberts in 2002 was not as revolutionary. He said to Mr. Zervis, man, go back and continue your work. He had the Ministry of Works accepted his plans. But he should have ordered the professional board the same way Hubert Alexander Ingram ordered them to give the Negro man his license. Now, I don't want to raise the question of race because I'm not sure. Because I know Papa likes white people and Bradley Roberts loves white people. So I don't want to raise it. And so I'm demanding from the F&M government to immediately issue this man's license because a court has adjudicated. My God, it's the people's time. And the people must mean red and yellow, black and white, for they are all precious in God's sight. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, sir, you are.
Tell the F&M government that you are 74, your wife is not well, you are stressful over the fact that you have been struggling for all these years to get your license, and every time you get a plan, you have to go to the Ministry of Works to get a letter.
No, I don't have to do that.
Straight me.
No, I got that letter because they had an employee there who didn't know my status.
Okay.
And she refused to take one of my plans.
Okay.
But I went and made a complaint to Craig Delancey, who's a BCO.
Yes.
And anyway, that letter was issued.
To confirm the status.
Yeah, read that to the public.
I shall read it to the public.
And that's dated April
2nd of April 2016.
Right, last year.
Attention, Mr. Michael Moss. Yes, sir. Reference submission of architectural drawings and plans by Mr. Evangelus G. Zervis. This is to confirm that the status quo remains with regards to this ministry's acceptance and approval of architectural drawings and plans submitted by Mr. Evangelus G. Zervis until such time that the Professional Architects Board reconsiders Mr. Zervis's application on his professional status. Yours faithfully, Craig G. Delancey, Building Control Officer. And he copied it to Mr. Zervis, to Colin Higgs, who's the Permanent Secretary, Mr. George Hutchison, Director of Public Works. Okay? So, we know you've been an architect from how long?
70 till now.
My God. Look how much years.
That's 47 years.
47 years. I beg the F&M to do justice to Mr. Zervis. Have the board grant him his license. He's suffered long enough. He's suffered the indignity. And he's qualified in accordance with the law. And Papa, I have a secret, Papa. I know the identity of the Negro man that you ordered the board to approve. And I know the just circumstances, Papa, under which it was ordered. Brent Simonet, he should have been given his license. He should. He's a Bahamian, born in the Bahamas. All right? Am I saying it right?
Yes, you are.
Anything else you want to say?
I just wanted the public to know that I am practicing architecture with no problems at all. I do any size buildings. I'm not restricted to anything.
Look at Camera Tree and tell the public.
I do any size building. They accept all my plans without any restrictions. So in other words, I have architect status because only architects can do any amount of size building or any square foot or any level of building, stories.
The only problem is you want your license.
I want my license, yes.
Will the F&M treat this time as the people's time? He's a Bahamian. He's a Bahamian. Equally protected under the rule of law. And I appeal to more white people who may have suffered indignity. I talk about poor white people now. I talk about the rich one. Rich one, y'all go find lawyer. Poor people, y'all find me. I want this man, he's 74, and he is concerned and he's stressed out over it. And when I run into him on an unrelated matter, he caused me to have goosebumps. He said to me, he thinks that the Lord sent me. And so I want justice for him. Carl Battle, I want justice for him. He's a Bahamian. He's covered by the law. Okay? Come man, stop stressing out citizens who have made a wonderful and powerful contribution. Tell them some of the buildings you have designed.
I did the Mortgage Corporation.
You mean the Mortgage Corporation by McDonald's?
Yes, I did that.
You built that? You drew the plan?
Yes, I did.
He drew the plan for the Mortgage Corporation. You got another big building?
I did a building for Mr. Munnins.
You mean Percy?
Percy Munnins. The building that's next to Kentucky on Oaksfield there.
Nassau Street?
Nassau Street, yeah.
You drew that plan?
Yes.
Okay.
I did a 4-story house in Exuma.
Okay.
I did a house for Rupert Roberts, who is the owner of Super Value.
Rupert Roberts, the concrete man?
Yes, I did that. He lives out, it's a 2-story building out on the Eastern Road.
By the sea?
By the sea.
I saw that house before.
Yeah.
You drew that plan as well?
Yes. And I did many other bigger buildings, I just can't remember.
Have you ever done any of them little small ones?
I do any size, it doesn't matter to me.
Wow. And were those plans approved.
All of them.
My God.
I've done over 2,300 jobs.
Wow.
Although they stopped me for about 3 years, I couldn't work.
For 3 years?
Yes. If I'd have worked those 3 years, I would have been closer to more like 3,000 jobs up to date.
My God.
But they stopped me. I couldn't work. And people were calling me, and I had to tell them that I had a matter in the court, and I couldn't do anything until it was addressed. And it was addressed, but they refused to do what they're supposed to do in accordance with the law.
Wow.
But they did it for the other person that you're talking about.
Papa! Papa!
They did it for that person. They said, register this person and anybody else who could prove their years. Well, they registered that person. I won't call his name.
Don't call his name.
They registered that person, but they didn't register all the other people who were qualified. I don't know how many people are qualified, but I know I am qualified. I have 47 years from 1970 till now.
Wow.
And when the act came into force, I had 25 years. You have to have a minimum of 20 years to be admitted in the
to be registered
in the grandfather clause.
And
I had 5 years more than that.
Wow.
I wasn't short. I was over.
Wow.
But they refused me. And that other person that you're talking about, who you know,
look at the direction of the camera.
That other person he started in 1967. He had 3 years more than me. So I had 25. He had 28.
Wow.
But we both were over the 20, the minimum.
Okay. Tout le monde haïtien. Aujourd'hui, m'a gagné un grand garçon blanc. Il appliqué pour license architect. Papa, c'est prime minister. Papa mandé bot là pour faire license pour garçon noir. Il pas fait ça pour grand garçon blanc. Mais pas connaît exactement, but I am suspicious. Papa, what is this? Papa, speak to Menace. Because today I have decided to take on this man case. Because I am the people's defender. And I'm defending him. Now, are you authorizing me to write Menace and the Attorney General?
Please.
You're not afraid?
No.
Mine, they don't like me.
I don't fear any man. The only person I fear is God.
Amen. Well, Dr. Menace, you see it on live TV. I'm authorized to write a letter to you and the Attorney General because I want justice for all the citizens. Because after all, what time is it? It is the people's time. And we don't know the politics of people. Because he's white doesn't mean he's an FNM. Because he's white, it doesn't mean that he's a PLP. Because in Baintown, it means that many people must have voted for Travers to win. And I want justice for him, or there will be, I'm going to case you all out. Just case you all out. Out. So I want poor black people to know that there are poor white people who are also suffering oppression and are frustrated at times. I don't know what to do. But we must all unite as Bahamians, as we march once again on Labor Day. Zervis, you have strength to march?
No.
What if I put you on the back of a truck?
I have to take care of my wife.
You have to take care of your wife.
Yes.
I'm going to excuse you.
Yes.
His wife is not well, and he's her care provider.
She suffered a stroke.
Okay, wow. Have my deepest regard. This is Freedom March. Today, I have produced a citizen who's a white Bahamian living in Bainstown and Grantstown. Travers Robertson, here is an opportunity to show that you are not racist and that you will work for all the people of Bainstown and Grantstown. Red and yellow, black and white, because they are precious in God's sight. What is the FNM going to do? This is Freedom March. A Greek Bahamian, a Bahamian of Greek ancestry, living in Bainstown and Grantstown, and he's been frustrated from the FNM pass this law. Papa, turn back and let's straighten this out for Brother Zervis. We'll be right back in a second.
Freedom March with Rodney Moncur will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Moncur.
Come back to Freedom March, broadcasting live here on ILTV in Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Rodney Moncur. I'm a Justice of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Well, before I took the adjournment, I had with me Evangelist George Zervis, an architect from 1970. The Free National Movement in 1994 made legislation to regulate the architects. And because of the period of time that Mr. Zervis has been practicing, there is what is called the grandfather clause. And he's had one piece of struggle. And at 74, he has said to me quietly, listen, this has to be my year to get my license. Everybody recognize that I have the professional training, but they have refused to give me my license. And we running into each other. In that split second, when I saw you, I said that you were the answer to my prayer. And I believe that God sent you so that you can help me. And I was moved by his faith that this is his year, 74. When I take into consideration that in 1935, my paternal great-grandfather, he was 74 when he died. Here's a 74-year-old citizen who must make a living. He's able to, but he's entitled to his license. And under an F&M government, the Professional Architect Board rejected him. But a judge of the Supreme Court quashed it. And by grab, the F&M, with their lawless self, never complied and never directed. But I know of a Negro male that Papa spoke to them about, and I know the identity of the influential citizen that spoke to Papa when Papa did it. Now, I'm not sure if Papa was aware of his circumstances, but I asked the F&M not to discriminate, because it is to be noted that this has been going on from the first term of the F&M. And I want y'all to know that I'm looking for things to embarrass y'all. You hear me? And I got plenty information. I'm only protecting Papa until I see him. And if I don't see him, I can throw more scuds, because I got it. Don't forget who I am. I am the people's damn senator. And they know that I shall be fair to all manner of men. You say I got a call? Welcome to Freedom March.
Yeah, Mr. Moncur.
So,
I was trying to get on when Zervis was on, man. That's a good friend of mine. He deserves everything he's supposed to get. And I wish they'd give him his license, because he had a good friend. Working with him was a good friend of mine, Anthony Mortimer. I was trying to question him, but I didn't get on because he got off, so forth. But he's a very good man. He's entitled to get his license. And I would march with you if we need marching.
but listen to me. I have the court order. You see, what the F&M don't know, I want most people to know, that the Bahamian people tell me everything, but I don't say anything. I pray over it. And when I am captivated by the Spirit, then I move, because I'm angry. I've never been so angry in all my life. They got me angry. It's a good thing I know how to curse in strange tongue. Other than that, the police would be outside the studio waiting to charge me with cursing in English. But Papa, I want you to do for this white man what you did for the Negro man. Other than that, I promise to tell the country who influence you lawfully to speak to the board. What is good for the Negro citizen who is qualified is equally good for the white Bahamian who is qualified, because the country belongs to us. But you say Zervis is a good man? The man gone.
Excellent man, excellent man, excellent man. I can be 74 in June.
Wow.
So I've been around a long time, and I know him. A friend of mine named Anthony Mortimer used to work with him. And that gentleman is a perfect man. He deserves all kind of license, man.
Wow.
And if they don't give it to him, I would be willing to march with you, Moncur.
This is great. And if you see Brent Simonet, you tell him I say with the main self. And if you see Carl Bettel, tell Carl Bettel I say Ching Wong 42. When he papa ain't case yet. But I want him to treat this man good. He's a citizen.
But I like what you're doing for the Bahamian people, man.
It's my
Keep up
job.
the good works, man.
I thank you. Pray for me that God will give me wisdom and knowledge and a healthy, long life. Okay?
You are a Kiakrit and I am a Kiakrit.
Oh, you're a great man. You're a great man.
You remember Brother Henry?
Yes.
That's my brother.
Really?
That's right.
And which one of the church you go to?
I go to Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart. Well,
I went to school there and everything like that.
Well, one early morning you must come to St. Joseph so we can...
Father Kalma, come out of Sacred Heart.
Yeah, but
that's my voice.
I want you to come to St. Joseph so that
I would do that.
can...
When you can be there?
I go to church every Sunday.
Uh-huh.
I'll be there Sunday if it's God's will. And I'd like for you to come. I go to early morning, and I'd like for us to break bread on our knees together.
So you know Ronald Taylor then?
Yeah, man.
Ronald Taylor and I used to work together. I used to be in charge of John Bull's service department.
Okay.
Ronald's my boy.
You're a great
so
citizen.
I can join you one day Sunday morning. What mass you say you go to?
I go early mass.
Okay.
You follow?
I'll join you there, man.
And we'll drink a little wine.
Keep up the good bikes, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As we do the memorial. This is powerful. Do I have another person on the phone? Welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me? Well, you better hang up on that person and give me somebody else. Welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Moncur. How are you?
I'm fine, my dear, but I'm getting angrier and angrier as the people them complain.
Well, I need you to calm down because I could truly say, I am one of the women them.
Oh, Jesus.
I am 28 years old.
Wow.
And my mother and I, we watch you every single day.
Tell your mother I say hello.
She's watching you right now. And
hello, Mom.
I must say, Mr. Moncur, you are a true prophet.
Wow.
The words that you are speaking to the Bahamian public, I mean, I have not learned so much.
Well, please pray for me. You know?
Pardon me?
I want you to pray for me because sometimes when people are flattered, they go crazy. You understand my point? They begin to do nonsense.
Exactly.
And I want to remain humble because I'm a humble man.
But you are 60.
I am. And at 60.
Well, I wanted to know if you noticed during the opening ceremony what I saw at the opening ceremony yesterday.
Yes.
I saw Sarkis Ismailian speaking with Richard Lightbourne.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you were able to see that because I saw them sitting there. I was like, oh my goodness, Mommy, what is going on? We see Sarkis again. First of all, he was at the
Government House.
The ceremony when the Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis, was sworn in.
Yes.
And now we see him again. And I said, I'm like, what is going on with the FNM and with this Sarkis Ismailian man?
Well, Sarkis is the boss because there is a photograph near the statue of Christopher Columbus, where Dame Margaret yesterday took a photograph with the Prime Minister and his cabinet, the Commissioner of Police, his assistant, the Commodore of the Defense Force, and his assistant. In the third row, or the second row, Sarkis, members of Sarkis, ministers in the government were together. there was
Yes.
Deacon Jeff Lloyd, then there was Marvin Dames, and then there was the
definitely.
Nuncio. Sarkis
Yes, ma'am.
has my cabinet, and I'm mad. All right?
Yes.
So we're going to have to get together. I don't know what you're doing Labor Day, but I call on the PLP supporters that we have to
Yes.
join and show up at Windsor Park and march.
This is the season and the time for change.
Oh, yeah.
It might not come in the way that everybody thinks it's coming from, but there are people that are chosen by God to lead in this time and in this season. That's what I truly believe. I don't understand exactly why, like I told my mom, I was like, everyone voted for the F&M. And it was like, I mean, so many people, and I feel like a lot of people have been blinded, and now a lot of them are now seeing,
Yes.
and things are unfolding on the agenda of the F&M. And so I just pray that we are able to, and then your voice is able to strengthen the Bahamian
Well, I'm going to
people
strengthen them.
to see beyond
Yes.
and to march.
Well, the march begins Labor Day because it was in 1942 that the oppressed workers stepped on
Yes,
a
sir.
rocky Burma road.
Yes,
And as
sir.
Penling said, they went all the way.
All the way.
And pray God, Penling said, go with us. I remember his speech at Paradise Island, Penling, in the middle 90s or thereabout.
Okay.
So you must come because history is in the making. You hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, sir.
You're a wonderful woman. And as leader of the Womandom, I ask you to encourage thousands to show up at Windsor Park as we march peacefully, okay?
Yes, sir.
Give my love to your mom, and if she's watching me, Mom, mwah, I give her a kiss. Take good care.
Have a great day, Mr. Moncur.
I thank you. You're so kind.
Bye-bye.
Do I have more calls? Hello. Welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moncur. How
Good
are
af-
you?
I am fine. What
Mr.
about you?
I'm calling about Mr. Zervis, who was on just now earlier.
Yes.
He has been working all these years without an architectural license.
Yes.
Isn't that illegal? Shouldn't they have given him his license all those years ago? Because if he has gone all these years without his license, that means he don't need a license to work. Because they're allowing him to work without this license, and it's not like it's the architectural board what is refusing to give him this license. Am I correct?
You are correct, but the architecture board was represented by the Attorney General. And a judge of the Supreme Court, I have the order here, quashed their decision and ordered them to reconsider and apply the law. Well, who was the Attorney General? He believed it was Brent. All right?
Yes.
I am not sure because I've not had an opportunity to study. But in any event, the government, and interestingly enough, it started under the F&M. They acted unlawfully. All right? But praise the Lord, the F&M is back in charge, and they should now comply because Papa had a Negro circumvent the court when Papa directed the architect board to give the Negro man his license.
Yeah, well, I think they need to give him his license now because he is working without a license, and Ministry of Work is giving him, taking all his drawings, billing all these things. So why in the world they don't just give the man his darn license?
And particularly since there is an act that was gazetted, where under Section 9(1), his competence, his longevity in the profession allows him to be grandfathered into it. But I'm suspicious, and I don't want to put racism on Brent.
Yeah, it's racism. They prejudice.
I don't want to put it too quick.
The man is a Greek.
I don't want to put it too quick.
The man is a Greek, and they don't want to give the man his license, but the man's still giving them drawings.
But
give the man his license. He entitled to it.
But I'm prepared to pardon Papa, because I've never discovered Papa to be racist.
Yeah, they're
right?
racist. They're being racist with him. I agree.
But they
they
better
are
stop.
being racist with this man. Give the man his license.
Give
The
him his
man's
license.
wife's sick. The man need to be there to take care of his wife. He can't even come out march with us because he have to take care of his wife.
And his wife is sick.
And the wife is sick. Give the man his license. Let the man be comfortable knowing, now, thank God I get my license in my hand. But I hope Travis turn out for him and Travis do it for him.
Well, Travis better because he is a voter. And he reside on the northern boundary.
Yeah.
You follow? I don't know. Travis might be just like them, but I mean...
No, I don't think Travis like them.
Well, I'm prepared...
Travis look like he's a Christian.
Well, I'm not going to curse Travis yet because when Travis was born... His daddy, who I went to school with, he came to me and he said, listen, I have a son. I said, when the son born? And when he told me when his son born, I said, boy, your son born on my birthday. So I believe Travis might be safe.
Okay.
But if he isn't, I'm prepared to curse him out.
No, man, you can't curse Travis. So don't curse Travis. So give Travis a chance first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give Travis. I'm going to see if he loves all the people then.
Yeah.
But you're a good woman.
Yeah.
And I thank you.
I'm a very good woman and a good wife. I don't sweetheart.
No, sweethearting is get prostate cancer. Okay? So don't... All right?
Okay, Mr. Moncur, you have a beautiful day.
Thank you. My producer just showed me a sign saying women don't have prostates. Okay, well, the man then will have prostate cancer. Do you have any more calls? Welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
Sir, can you hear me? Speak. Speak to me. Hello?
Hello.
Sir, talk, I'm listening. Speak to me. Goodness me, he can't hear me. Hello?
Hello, I want to speak to Mr. Moncur.
Well, here I am. Talk.
I'm a former senior building inspector in the Public Works Department.
Okay, sir.
I have to say something on this show.
Go ahead. You're free.
Mr. Moncur.
Sir.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
I've heard you said something. It put chills in my body while Mr. Zervis was there. I was shocked and surprised to know that Mr. Zervis is not a registered architect in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Wow.
I was one of those persons who inspected and approved some of Mr. Zervis' plans. He had done some of the best set of plans in the Bahamas.
Wow.
I am not getting into politics. I am talking about justice and righteousness.
Yes.
The Bible says that righteousness exalts a nation.
And sin.
Sin is a reproach. I'm not blaming Papa. I'm not blaming Papa for Mr. Zervis' situation. Hear me out, sir.
I'm listening.
What I'm saying is the architectural board, this man had 40-some years, which is equivalent to doctorate degree in architecture.
Wow.
Practical experience. This man was practicing architecture, Mr. Moncur, for 40-some years.
Yes.
A whole lifespan.
Yes.
As a sin and shame, I'm not blaming Miss Ingram.
No, Papa's innocent.
I am blaming the person, the architectural board. Hear me out, Mr. Moncur.
I'm listening.
There are people who approve as architect, who don't have the experience nor the academic that Mr. Zervis have. To me, it's discrimination. And it's grossly wrong. And I'm saying to those on the side, I'm not getting in politics again. I'm talking the whole truth, nothing but the truth, but help me God. I was a senior building inspector in Public Works who inspected all of the major projects in the city of Nassau, Cable Beach Complex, the multi-billion-dollar Holston. Let me tell you my name. Denver, Wellington, Dames. I don't hide behind anything.
Man, I know you.
Denver, Wellington, Dames.
You're the Dames who's a member of the Church of God of Prophecy?
Yes, you know me. Let me finish, sir. Let me finish.
Speak.
Let me finish.
You're a saved man.
What I'm saying is, and I agree with what you're saying 100%. The only thing I disagree with you with, I ain't going to hold no papa for that. The architect, I'm not getting no politics with that. Mr. Zervis, and I want to say it's on national television and radio.
Go ahead.
I would like to see Mr. Zervis have his license. It's discrimination, and it should not be happening in the 21st century Bahamas. God bless you, and have a nice evening.
I thank you, Elder Dames. It is so wonderful when citizens can put aside questions of race and look at the content of a man's character and his qualification. And under the law, there is provision for the grandfather clausing of him into the system. How is it that a whole white man, the F&M, abandoned? You see? But, Menace, you heard him. He has authorized me to write a letter on his behalf, and I'm going to do it. And all I ask is justice for Zervis. He's a good man, nice, calm, decent citizen, walking about the place, making a powerful contribution to the country. Do I have more calls? Welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moncur. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Always a pleasure to listen to you.
I thank you.
Mr. Moncur, I want you to really and truly understand the influence you have on members of the public with respect to your daily teachings.
I thank you.
Mr. Moncur, you know, I listened to the speech from the throne yesterday, and I realized that, and I heard Dame Marguerite, Her Excellency, made mention with respect to how fine the writing was. But what I didn't know is that that was not the original speech until you shed some light.
Well, no, it was the speech, but it was not the ceremonial copy, the correct copy for her to read. This is a lady who's in her 80s, and I have the booklet here, all right? And it was horrible that, see, the Prime Minister is the Governor General's Prime Minister. And how could you put the Governor General in that kind of situation?
Yes,
what level of incompetence that Menace lost the book?
Yes, sir. And Mr. Moncur also paid close attention to the speech, and there was a lot of things he mentioned during the campaign that was not even recognized in the speech.
That is true.
The VAT, with respect to recalling the VAT from the breadbasket items and completely from the urban areas.
Yes.
Marvin Dame speak about personal issue for police officers.
Yes.
They failed to mention anything about the natural resources.
They didn't.
They spoke about the dump, but they said they'll try to minimize the fire rather than trying to eradicate this problem completely.
That is true.
There's a lot of things. He never even made mention about the fixed dates for elections.
And he said nothing about the University of the Bahamas.
Yes, sir.
When Menace said it, I got one old friend. He and I wanted to go to university for years. I said to him, Brother Marshall, we could now go and study law.
Yes, sir.
But by grab, Menace is jiving. Go ahead, talk to me.
Mr. Menace also made mention about establishing a communication and information ministry. That, he didn't make mention either about that in the speech from the throne. So there's a lot of things that he's backpedaling on. I believe reality is now setting in. And he knows that a lot of the promises he made during the campaign is like far from fulfilling. But I want the Bahamian people, Mr. Moncur, to take you very serious and listen to the message rather than always following party politics.
Yes.
Because if you do that, then you tend to miss the message.
Yes.
But I want you to stay encouraged, be sure and steadfast, and remember that this nation is following you. And you was the last, Mr. Moncur, of all those that are respected. Because you see, Renard Curry, he marched to the Senate rather than march with the people.
Well, don't forget now who he was. Y'all didn't know. I looked at him and I said, this is a King George III Negro. And he is Menace's wife, first cousin, child.
Yes.
His family, friends, and lovers.
So Mr. Moncur, you are the last of them all, so we want you to stand with us.
I shall.
And you remain sure and steadfast. God bless you, Mr. Moncur, and you take care.
Thank you very much, and God save the Queen. Do I have another caller? Because the clock is... Go ahead. Hello? Speak to me. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello once. Hello twice. Hello 3 times. You better go to another phone. Well, I am so happy that there are honorable, decent citizens who is judging Mr. Zervis not by the color of his skin, but the content of his character. Isn't that what the late American Dr. Martin Luther King told us about? That one day we live in a world where people will not be judged by the color of their skin. And it's a disgrace that they started out under the F&M, but praise the Lord, the F&M is back. And here is an opportunity to right it wrong. I call on the Attorney General. I call on the Prime Minister. I call on Dr. Hubert Minnis to do justice to this white man. He's a Bahamian, and he lives in Bainstown and Grantstown. So, let's straighten it up, because what time is it? What time is it? It is the people's time, and we're going to hold you accountable. I'll be right back after the break.
Do you have something to say to the senator? Call Freedom March at 323-7775. Toll free from anywhere in the Bahamas at 242-300-0045. Freedom March with Rodney Moncur, only on ILTV. This is Freedom March with Rodney Moncur.
Welcome to Freedom March with Rodney Moncur, exclusively on ILTV. And once again, I welcome the many people who have joined me here on Freedom March. I understand we have some calls, do we? Let me have the first caller. Welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moncur, Senator Moncur. God bless you, sir, for your service that you are now making to the Bahamian people.
I thank you from the depths of my heart for your kind words.
Yes, sir. I have one question, and it's related to Marshall View Cemetery.
Go ahead.
My mother was buried in that spot. And some years ago, I went to Feely the Marriage Funeral Home to ascertain the record to determine exactly where she was buried, because I remember from the arch, it was about 100 feet on the western side. And lo and behold, when a friend and I went there, the entire place was like turning up as if they were searching for something that was not there. And later I was told that some political person had done that evil deed there. Is that so?
Yes. I think leading up to the 1992 general election, a fundamental error, that's how I describe it, was committed when that funeral, that grave site, was interfered with. But if you are truly interested in determining the geographical location of your mother's plot, if they followed the law, there ought to be a plan, P-L-A-N,
yes,
for the cemetery, which ought to be in the possession, one, of the Ministry of Works, and two, if you did in fact purchase it, it ought to have been attached to the conveyance for the plot, and if you had lodged it for record, then it only requires a title search.
Okay. Yeah.
Did I help you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much so, sir.
Well, God save the Queen and take good care.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right,
God
sir.
bless you.
Thank you. Do we have any other caller? Welcome to Freedom March.
Hello?
Sir.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Moncur. Blessings to you, sir.
Thank you. You're kind.
Yeah, I think you're doing a wonderful job to help inform our Bahamian people.
I thank you.
Various situations the nation is facing.
I thank you.
I'd just like to concur with Mr. Dames, being a government licensed building contractor.
Yes.
We had built a lot of homes at Mr. Zervis.
Yes.
Had drawn, and he's a really good architect.
Wow.
And I do believe that they have done him injustice by not giving him the approval of his license to become a professional architect by the board.
Well, you're
and I do believe that this government should someday enforce those individuals as responsible to give him his license, because he's a really good architect. And there's a number of homes throughout New Providence that I know for sure to be built, Mr. Xavier's had drawn.
Wow.
So, in all honesty, as a Bahamian like us, they should give and do justice to him.
Yes.
And keep up the good work, sir. And may God bless you.
I thank you, and may God bless you for your honesty. It's powerful. Welcome to Freedom March. Do I have another caller? Hello?
God save the Queen.
God save our gracious Queen.
Senator Moncur.
Yes.
I appreciate your enthusiasm and what you're doing in terms of rallying the people, especially the women, for this Labor Day march.
I thank you.
Now, I hear you saying, well, let's bring our PLP shirts and whatever. And I can give you a pass now.
Okay.
Because I feel like this, what you're doing, is needed.
Yes.
But I would encourage you, Mr. Moncur, to, as you lead this opposition during this period, this 5-year period with the FNM in power, you must inform the PLPs to recognize the error of their ways.
Yes.
Because even though the people voted overwhelmingly for the FNM, to some of us, it was basically a rejection of the PLP. Not all of them, but some of them was doing nonsense. The good ones had to pay for the transgressions of the bad ones.
Yes.
So unless they fix that, with all this good work you do it, they keep the FNM foot to their own thoughts, to their own fire.
Yes.
PLP ain't coming back in 5 years if they do fix the problem.
You are so correct, and that is why I have instructed my political Secretary General, Brian Lyndon Smith, to draft for me a letter which I shall submit to the new leader of the opposition and the interim leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, asking him when he is free if he would see me, because you are right. And
I even hear them saying that they okay with this march you putting together.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm putting it together, but I have received new intelligence that the PLP is organizing. I've not gotten it from official sources, but you know, I have people everywhere who keeps me abreast, and I think it's wonderful. I think everybody should march. Even the FNM
I just got one
march.
more thing to point out before I go, Mr. Moncur.
Go ahead, sir.
My daughter is one of the women there.
Praise the Lord.
She's watch you online. She say, Daddy, Mr. Moncur is have over 3,000 viewers.
Wow.
She said another gentleman who has come on in the morning.
Goodness of my sake.
King Day is all that. Is of 100 and something.
Man, don't attack the other
Yeah,
gentleman.
100 and something while you well over 3,000.
You think so?
But Mr. Bud Guy telling you the truth.
Okay. Well,
and you, I'm sure Sebastian recognized it already.
Okay.
You're the best waker, man.
Wow.
You got the best show.
Man, don't flatter me.
And you's the poor man.
I am.
Who don't beg.
I don't.
But the other one claimed to have so much.
Oh, Jesus.
Man, they'll beg you like, man, anyhow. God save the Queen.
God save the Queen, and may she reign over us. You're good, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. Do I have more calls? This is powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, the speech from the throne is on my heart because this sets the new government's legislative agenda. But I'm very disappointed. I cannot believe that with the Nuncio de Aguilar there, you know, he is a great businessman, and the intellectual, what's his name? The Minister of Education, Jeffrey Lloyd, he's there. Listen to the nonsense that they have in this. And I only went to CC's meeting. I went to CC's meeting, and I'm going to show you what they have. And when I went to CC's meeting, it was a big dollhouse then. But I'm going to show you what they have so that you can see that my party is turning out to be a fake and a fraud. I'm going to show you something so that you may see the nonsense. I'm skipping. I've gone to page 12. My government will continue to close the gap between science and criminal justice and the quality of admissible DNA evidence. But I thank God that at 60, I still could remember. In 1999, the FNM was the government. And they came up with a piece of law that I had fundamental problems with. And I held a series of small town meetings in the Bainstown and Grantstown constituency, you would recall that the FNM passed legislation to assist, they claim, in the fight of crime by extracting DNA samples. So the law said they can take your hair, they can take skin sample of your body, and they can take sperm. Sperm. And I was upset. Goodness of mercy. I think I could stand them taking a little hair. I think I could stand them if they pinch off a little piece of skin. But at 60, how would they get my sperm? How? And I went to see Dr. Bernard Nottage. And I said to him, Dr. Nottage, what this is? The FNM say they can take sperm. And Dr. Nottage, the former Minister of National Security, he's a scientist. And so he then decided that he will teach me a crash course in biology. And then when it was over, I even left more depressed because he taught me too much. And it ain't good to know too much things. How you think the FNM would get your sperm? How? For those of you who studied agriculture and animal husbandry, how? How? At 60? Can you imagine? Well, I'll tell you. In animal husbandry, those of us who studied a little bit of agriculture, a little bit of animal husbandry, the rearing and the breeding of livestock, the ox, you know it's the ox. We call all of them cow, but the cow is really the female, and the ox is the male. He's a clumsy lover. And when it is time for reproduction, he's clumsy. So, how do you think they get the sperm from the cow? Well, from the ox. There is an object which is inserted into the rectum of the ox where his prostate is massaged. Goodness of mercy. And guess what? He ejaculates. But the FNM, who came up with the law, notwithstanding that the law has been passed, I couldn't get them to tell me how you can get the sperm. Now, that's 1999. How much years later that is? That's 18 years ago. They come back now and talking about DNA. I thought the legislation was there. Obviously, Marvin Dames, if this is his contribution, he is forgotten. And this is a rush job. But I'm 60, and I remember. I'm 60, and I remember. All right? Nonsense again. Let me show you another piece of nonsense. Show you another piece of nonsense. Let's go here. My government will focus on the development of Freeport as an offshore technology hub. What that mean? Huh? You want fool Grand Bahama coming up with big word, technology hub. What that mean? And how much jobs that can create? Huh? How much? But they think we stupid. And they think that the opposition forces are so demoralized that we ain't got time to analyze this. But they can't demoralize me. All right? Another piece. And I ask each of you to go to the government publication office and get your copy of the speech from the throne, because every citizen should read it and analyze it. And every home and every party branches and all the young people on the blocks, in the high schools, in the University of the Bahamas, this must be analyzed and dissected so that you could see that this group that has been elected are a bunch of jokers. They really didn't think this out. Don't forget, it was divine that Menace lost the original copy. Huh? So let's look at it. My government will create incentives to establish a financial services center in Grand Bahama. What that mean? Brent Simonette is the minister with responsibility for financial services. So they can put another officer. What that mean? They can find investors? What that means? They can look for diamond and gold? What that means? This is loose talk. This talk is so loose that it is indecent and immoral. So you got to read these things. You sit down, you discuss it, put aside the fact that you are PLP or an FNM or DNA, and just look at it in a very scientific and sober manner and analyze to see that these set of Negroes, all of them, should be thrown in the category of King George III. King George III Negroes trying to fool us. It was better for the FNM to say that we have just come to government and that my government will be calling a series of town hall meetings asking for advice. But it's a bunch of nonsense. And then my government will enact legislation to establish the National Intelligence Agency. Now I must confess that the PLP government did operate one unlawfully because it did not have the power of the law. But save the Bay lawyer, Fred Smith from Freeport, Joe Dowell, and all the other scallywags, they were opposed to it. They said the PLP can spy on them, right? Well, you think Menace ain't a spy? You think Marvin ain't a spy? Huh? They say we should abandon those kind of laws. But now it is safer to have it under the FNMA. Well, if it was bad for the PLP to propose legislation, certainly it must be bad for Menace and them. Because we know, when you examine the history of the FNM, we have historic evidence where the FNM killed a whole man in the back of a ball track. A whole man. There's no evidence that the PLP has committed any murder. And then I go to another piece where they talk, because I have the book now in my presence. Yesterday, I was merely writing as I watched it, streaming. So I wrote quickly what the Governor General was reading. But now I have the little book. I mean, Menace ain't got no shame, man. No class. Jesus of mercy. No class. Can you imagine that the Prime Minister knew that the crowning glory of the opening of the Parliament is the speech from the throne? All that they did yesterday was supposed to culminate with the speech from the throne, and Menace couldn't find it. Caused Dame Margaret to think out loud. When he passed this to her, she said, "What is this?" But since she is trained, and certainly she is familiar with her people, the Negro people, she knows that some belong to King George III. Menace them belonged to King George III. He was an English king that was a German who did not understand English. Didn't. All right? That's why I put them in King George III category. So as we examine it, it is so important for my people, the Bahamian people, to get a copy. All right? Because I want to show you the difference of Hubert Alexander I and Hubert Alexander II. This manifesto, don't wait, the paper it's written on. In 1992, when Hubert Alexander Ingram won the 1992 general election, guess what he did? Guess what he did? he tabled in the House of Assembly the manifesto. And everybody around the world in the office of the Prime Minister, they had the F&M manifesto because it was tabled in the House of Assembly. I don't know where the heck it's been. Huh? Table it. And the manifesto of 1992 was the established government policy. I don't know what minister was learning. Huh? But look at this. Manifesto, speech from the throne, ceremonial. And a prime minister, he's like a man going to a wedding to get married and was so incompetent that he didn't turn to his drunken best friend, who was his best man, and say, listen, you got the wedding ring? You got the wedding ring? And men show up at the wedding. And by grab, he didn't have the ceremonial. And the Guardian is covering it up. The Tribune is covering it up. And Wendell Jones even didn't know it happened. But the Tribune and the Guardian know it. They just cover up. Huh? Goodness me. So get a copy of the speech from the throne, every citizen, and take your time and read it, the whole thing. And then afterward, among your families, among your friends, you study it, look at it objectively. If you see something good, forward march. If you see something bad, you say, you question it. Don't be stupid. If you know that it is nonsense, you can't be like the king. You remember the king? He was naked. Naked! Walking up and down. Naked. But there was no one in the whole kingdom who was man enough, woman enough to say, Your Majesty, you're naked. But it took a little child who said, Mama, look at the king. The king naked. I can see the king lollipop. The king is naked. I can see the king. And then it was finally that His Majesty looked around and recognized how stupid the people were. Don't let nobody insult your intelligence. Because no matter what you say about the education system, Paul Adley told me that whatever you thought about Pindling and the PLP, we all went through that school system. And as we went, we pick up. All right? So we all went to school and we got sense. Just think analytically and question and question and question and push their back and their policies against the wall. Because this country is ours. And what time it is? It is the people them time. What time is it? It's the people them time. And who are the people? We are the people. And it is our time. And we have a duty to stand up to this government and to point out to them where they are wrong. So folks, oh boy, I need something cool to drink. They got me angry, man. At 60. I shouldn't be angry. At 60, I should be relaxing. But they got me angry. Angry. Look at what they did to Zervis. Poor man. Couldn't get justice. But thank God, at least Bradley Roberts did tell the man, keep working. But Bradley should have gone one step further. But anyway, you did what you could do. And ministers are back in charge. And so it is our prayer that justice will flow like a mighty, mighty river. Oh boy, I don't know. I hope my wife cooked the okra soup. I just love okra soup. Ever since her ma gave me some okra soup. And you know what that happened. Boy, anyway, I can see you all tomorrow, and I can study the manifesto. I can study it as I investigate why ministers lost the original. Can you imagine it? Say he ready to be prime minister and give the governor general the wrong thing. Didn't give her the ceremonial copy. These Negroes need to learn the system That's what they need to do. Learn the system. We have to. You're interested in politics? Study the Westminster system and understand it. Know your role. You know, you want to be a MP? Well, they got it. And we got to put up with it for 5 years. But we could get rid of them before the 5 years, you know. Just carrying out peaceful political action. Peaceful political action. Because the people of Grand Bahama is catching hell. And the good thing, it might be a blessing for the PLP. Because, guess what? The FNM got the whole of Grand Bahama. The whole of Grand Bahama. And the Grand Bahamians can't blame anyone. They can't. In the manifesto, the FNM, it said they're going to appoint something to determine whether or not Nassau should have local government. Certainly, Menace is pussyfooting. If you can do local government, do it. And stop pussyfooting. When Ingram had the opportunity to introduce local school committees, he didn't pussyfoot. Didn't. He's a man who knows how to manage the pussyfooting. But Menace can't. I don't know. I think I'm going home. I'm going home. Because I'm up against a government that pussyfoots. And that is why we must march Labor Day. March Labor Day for jobs. That's what we got to do. This is Freedom March. My name is Rodney Moncur. If God spare my life, I'll see you tomorrow. Forward march!
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Moncur, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.